Hello and welcome back to Dial H for Heroclix. I'm your 60 ranch hand co-host Calder and S. This episode, we're going to be bringing back new Clix on the block. We're going to be talking about some news in relation to the Scott Porter Invitational, answer some listener questions, and have an all-around good time. This is episode 360. Howdy, howdy. Let's get rowdy.
So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional...
Heroclix?
No.
Are you serious? Again? How many people even play this game? Like 100? Instant deadpan humor.
Over six people think I am funny.
It's a hard day's work. Not that you know anything about that. Which,
You absolute fools, it's not.
Witcher nonsense. I'm gonna make HeroClix like that forever.
are you kidding me?
Hey Google, tax them.
Let's attack Simeon, because he's a jerk.
Wow, wow, wow.
Dial H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, including all the latest Heroclix singles and sealed products. Make sure you check them out at CoolStuffInc.com. Use code DIAL5, DIAL5, for 5% off your order. And that's not just Heroclix, it's everything. But all right, guys, joining me in the studio, like always, is Dial H for Heroclix champion, the Billion Clicks Bruce. What's going on, Simeon?
Yeah, you can even get the figures that I'm going to be painting coming up here. I started a new one today, Calder. I started a new paint job. And it's a 2-for-1 special. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. It's Turtles.
Portals?
Turtles.
Portals. Or turtles.
No, with an O. Turtles.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Is
Yeah.
that some kind of wacky D&D thing that I don't know or care about?
I also didn't know. I learned something new when I was painting them. Not while I was painting them, but while I was researching them. Yeah, it's apparently not just D&D 5th edition. It's an expansion on 5th edition. So, like when World of Warcraft was like, the Mists of Pandaria, we're going to introduce... It's basically that.
Bro, you think I know anything about World of Warcraft?
Do you or do you not have a level 80 capped dragonborn?
I don't have any dragonborn.
I don't know enough
anything.
about World of Warcraft to make a joke here, but
Bro, I hate fantasy in all its ways. Dungeons and Dragons, World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit's cool, I guess. Anyways, Simeon is painting. Is that what made you happy this week? Oh, specifically also The Witcher. I'll count that in fantasy BS that I also heavily dislike. But what made you happy this week? Was it painting the turtles, Simeon?
that was part of what made me happy this week. Like I said, it was a 2-for-1. It'll be up sometime later this week. That being the 3rd week in April or something of 2021. But yeah, it did make me happy. I was gonna go ahead and, other than that, I will say I was at my friend's house and I watched the new Mortal Kombat movie, and that also made me happy.
That's a bit of a hot topic right now. Some people, that movie does not make them happy.
Yeah,
There's
plenty of reasons to not like it. I guess. I'm gonna say, and I'll go out on a limb here. It is much better than the older ones. Sure,
That's a pretty safe stance to take, I would say.
The special effects are clearly, like 20 years later, I guess, something like that. And so they've definitely aged. I mean, like the old ones have definitely aged. The new ones aren't like anything spectacular. The story is kind of like but fights were fun. And I mean, does anybody play Mortal Kombat for like the storyline?
Story.
Because I played Mortal Kombat Deception, and if you played that game and you were like, man, this storyline's so great, then, geez, you might like the storyline of this movie. What I really liked was seeing all the reviews of people that are like, I've played every Mortal Kombat game since it was not even on like a console, and this movie was terrible. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Have you read the storylines of half of the games that they've come out with? Because, like, Shaolin Monks, pretty bad. Mortal Kombat Deception, pretty bad. Deadly Alliance, not terrible. Armageddon, pretty bad. I think that was the one where like Blaze is like the conqueror dude, and he was like a throwaway joke character or something. I don't know. My point is, if you just want like a fun movie, Mortal Kombat's not bad. It's a decent movie for what it was meant to be, and that's just like a throwaway action punchy fight movie.
Right. I would like to say publicly on the podcast, in order to watch that movie, you need to have HBO Max. I asked every one of my Heroclix group, my closest friends, I was at this man's wedding, and you think he could give me his HBO Max? No. No, he couldn't. But my brother asks one of his friends, and he not only gives us their HBO Max, but changes the password to Calder is Sexy 69. And I'm like, are you this is so nice. This is what real friends do. Now the password has been changed since then, not that you would be able to guess the email anyways, but still, like, that's what friends do. True friends, they don't let you waste money to watch Zack Snyder's Garbage League, Justice League, excuse me, I misspoke. To actually have to pay for that trash. I mean, film. Yeah, right. On HBO Max, they don't let you do that. They come in clutch.
See, my friends.
I'm not talking about anyone in particular.
My friends were
not,
like,
who's not human to me, but
yeah.
certain
You only
gentlemen.
mentioned a wedding, and I don't know how many of us actually get married. Us being Heroclix players. But
True though. True.
at least your brother's friend gave you the password. My friend was like, "No, you can come here and watch it while I'm here,
Nah,
but I'm
not
not
about
giving
that
it
life.
to you."
That's
And I was
lame.
like, okay. So yeah, I haven't watched
What am
all
I
of
gonna
the Zack
do?
Snyder film,
Ooh.
but I have watched
I'm gonna
that.
watch Doom Patrol. Oh, so scary with your password. Like what? Who cares?
Hey, Doctor Who's on there too.
Oh, I guess, yeah, you can watch Doctor Who. But this is a very long tangent. And now I'm going to talk about my favorite thing, which is what made me happy this week, which was what really matters all along. Anyways, I kid. We didn't mention it. I won't mention it later anyways. What made me happy this week was the 2 Wonder Woman pre-releases I got to play in. One, I absolutely destroyed. I bet if we would have done 3 rounds, I would have won all 3. But I won 2 of my rounds. That was the one we did with Lucas, who bought all of the product from our local game store, and we played it at Isaac's house. And so it was only 5 of us. So we were like, you know what, go nuts. Open like whatever, 20 divided by 5-ish boosters each, right? I ended up only opening 6, and everybody else opened up 8. But the whole way there, I was like, you know what, I should offer to be like, hey, Lucas, can I give you, $30, buy these 2 boosters? And I'm like, for what? For 2 rares? It was in my first booster, Simeon. I mean, if you've seen the video, it was in my first booster, but it was Chase Guy Gardner. And I'm like, oh, man, there's some sort of poetic justice about me. And let me tell you guys, I played in
pulling the chase that I want, or the Dial H wants. He's kind of a bad guy in that sense.
Really.
We did make
No,
a really
but I was
nice
like,
video
man,
for
I
him. So
can't believe
I feel
it.
like the least he could do
That's what I
is
was
just give
saying,
us
yeah.
all the chases that he's ever had in the last 5 years. I think that
would be
break
nice.
Even
You
with
would think
us,
he would, but I would say so. Let's forget all the money he's given us on Patreon. Let's forget. Let's skip over that. But yeah, it's like those pre-releases were awesome. I won 2 games there. I'll upload the game I played against Kevin here a little bit. Didn't get the best camera angle. Didn't have a full tripod or setup or anything. So we were just sort of working with the bare bones. And then I played in the Highlander pre-release. So did one of our Patreon members, which is really cool, Bill. And we were able to. Well, I didn't play against him, but played 3 rounds, which reminded me of how terrible online Heroclix can be. The first round, I played against, not going to name anyone's names, but was not very happy with their dice rolls, and that can just get really old. It's like, hey guys, look, you have bad luck. I have bad. I crit missed 3 times in a row. I murdered several pogs doing it, and then dealt down, and I still couldn't even bring in what's his face. You ever want to crit miss with Devil Dino pogs? No, you don't. So it sucks, right? That wasn't the scenario necessarily, but still, I crit hit. I crit missed 3 times in a row. My real life dice landed on 1s 3 times in a row. You know what I said to my opponent? My opponent was like, "Oh, dude, that really sucks, man." I'm like, be like that sometimes. I didn't go, "Man, this game is sucky, stupid, pee-pee poo-poo game. My dice bad." Like, nah, dude, it's a dice game. Who cares? All right? Get over it. Get over yourself. So yeah, don't complain about dice rolls. It looks dumb. Anyways, second game, played against Anthony Bruno, Coffee, and Clix. I'm not a coffee guy. He said if you wanted to be on the show, I could. I'd be like, you know what? I hate coffee. I kind of hate people that drink coffee. No offense, but you know what? There's a person I hate that would like to be on the show, and that would be Simeon Bruce, because he does drink coffee. His soul is black, as is his coffee. So he would probably enjoy being on the show. So
I actually,
there's that.
Like,
oh, really?
When he was a new player, or a lot newer player, him, Devin, and Anthony's brother were on a 2018 Team Sealed Worlds team.
He mentioned that.
Yeah, so I met him then.
Yeah.
Because
cool.
Devin being my only friend, the only person that would be willing to talk to me in 2018 at a Heroclix event, yeah, I spent a lot of time hanging on to Devin. Everyone's like, I've seen his Facebook
still
posts.
Nobody
I'm
wants
not
to talk to you.
Yeah, even now. Yeah.
And then the last game I played that day, which was like the coolest one. By the way, I lost every single game, guys. The first 2 games I lost by like 10 points or 5 points, and it was like, bummer or whatever. Aries got up to 6 mission points. That was the highest he ever got up to, which I wasn't banking on Aries to win. But anyways, last game I played against Jasper. Jasper's from the Philippines. And you know what? Fan of the show, fan of the podcast, fan of the YouTube channel.
Really? That's pretty
cool. And that was really cool. Yeah. Yeah. So he was like, "Hey, name sounds familiar." And I was like, "Oh, I dialed your Heroclix." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, I really like your YouTube channel." I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool." So like I played against, some really cool people that day for the most part. And it was really cool. And I was like, "Hey, I'm going to stream this game. It's going to be up on the YouTube forever." And I was like, "Yeah, cool." Like, it's like, that's really sweet. So I'm glad, I'm just glad we had fun, had a good time. So I ended up taking home last place. Someone has to. It's okay. You can't win them all. But the cool part is we did roll-offs for Fellowship, and I rolled a 10. So I got myself a Wonder Woman play-at-home kit. So, like, that's pretty cool. So did not go home a loser. No, sir. I mean, in a sense, yes, I do have 3 more losses added to my win-loss record on the win. But monetarily speaking, now I pulled a super during pre-release. Got Angleman, Object. Angleman's so fun. Guys, play Angleman. I played him on Saturday, and I played 2 of them in my sealed games on Friday. Dude, I want to buy like 6 Anglemen, something else, whatever. Just play a 300-point Angleman team because it's so funny.
No,
like him and Zarko and just dumb villains.
He's gonna go in my pile with Kite Man, where it'll be like Angleman, Kite Man, Frog Man. All the like really weird guys who don't like have any synergy, not necessarily even like good pieces on their own.
Hey, they're all green so far, actually. They're all Frogman, Angleman, and Kite Man all have green on their sculpt. Yeah. It's a good team. It's already a great team. But all right, that's enough about that. Like we said, guys, we're bringing new Clix on the block back. This week, we're going to be talking about the rules, since the rules are changing. Where to find them, what's an errata, where to ask about rules, house rules, asking a judge at a tournament for rules, all this stuff. So if you want to skip Clix on the block, if you already know about, like you're pretty good at Heroclix, you don't need to listen to this. You can skip to our normal episode where we talk about the news, answer some listener questions, blah blah blah, and finish out a normal episode there. They'll have a timestamp in the description of this podcast if you want to jump to that part in the show. But without further ado, let's go ahead, Simeon, take it away with new Clix on the block.
So, you screwed up. You know what you did was wrong. The question is, how are you going to make things right? Maybe you were trying to be cool. Take it from a guy who's been frozen for 65 years. The only way to really be cool is to follow the rules.
All right, so
we sure hope so.
First things first, with this go round of new Clix on the block. So we kind of told you how to get started. Luckily, we never did a deep dive into the rules. We just said, know your PAC, know your rulebook, refer to them frequently. But basically, since we did this last time, that's all in the garbage. That's all been thrown away. So luckily we never did a deep dive into that. So let's go with where can you find the rules? And we already mentioned this a little bit first time we did this, but I want to go to bare basics before we do anything else. I want to say, like, how do we even get started? So let's go. I'm going to explain this as if I was explaining it to like one of my grandparents who I love dearly. You will type in whizkids.com, all one word, into your search bar or your URL bar. You will click on.
You can literally Google Heroclix rules, and that will actually take you right to it. The first thing will take you right there. So let's roll with that, baby.
I wanted to go,
my man,
whizkids.com, click on products.
Right.
Your featured games will be shown there. There's 2 that you can ignore. Dice Masters and Attack Wings aren't real things. We will click on Heroclix because that's what we're talking about. It will take you to the Heroclix game page. You can go to gameplay. It'll say how to play, team building, improve your game. It'll have formats, Heroclix FAQ, which if you click on that, it's a work in progress for the foreseeable future. Let's just leave it at that. But you can go to rules. The drop down from gameplay to rules will bring you the 2021 Heroclix core rulebook, is what they're calling it. I beg to differ. I don't think it's quite a core rulebook, but it is what it is.
And or whatever year it is when you're listening to this, whatever the rule book may be. This can kind of this is pretty
still be the same.
Whatever
the most the most current
updated recent rules. Right. We'll see that.
In the year 2021, we have the Wonder Woman 80th anniversary core rulebook, and we have the WWE single universe core rulebook, which only applies to WWE games that are WWE exclusive. There's also the most updated PAC that is found there, which is a great resource. So this is where you can get it if you don't want to buy a starter. That is the other place to get it, buying a starter. If you buy the most recent or semi-recent, tangentially most recent, then you'll also get these things.
Yes, but this is for online. But in real life, if you want to find it, just look for the most recent starter. You can ask your venue or look online, whatever has the newest date that you can find. Should be the most updated starter.
Yes.
Should be.
And then under the gameplay tab, again, if you go all the way down to Heroclix Rules Forum and you click on that one, that will take you to the Heroclix Rules Forum. So from here, you can click on Heroclix Rules Questions. They have a Team Abilities tab, an errata and clarifications tab, tournament resources and modern age legality lists, and then Heroclix past rules archive. All of these are useful in their own ways. The past rules archive being a golden age only, and well, I guess technically silver age and golden age now only kind of thing, but it will have any kind of changes that happened to those characters. The Heroclix Rules Questions is where you can go to ask any questions for particular figures that you're like, hey, this is a strange interaction. I really don't know how to do this, and my local judge, because really that's who you should be going to first with these kind of questions, is your local judge, and then potentially online, and then here would be the last place that you should go. But make sure you quote the rule in question, and then your question about the rule afterwards. So as an example, here the most recent one is the Fantastic Four Future Foundation 050 Herbie. The trait reads, Future Foundation Hall Monitor. Whenever a sidekick would be KO'd by an opposing effect, you may roll a d6. On a 4 through 6, instead turn that sidekick to its last non-KO click and place it in a square adjacent to Herbie. Gain 2 mission points for each sidekick placed by this effect. The question is, do I gain 2 mission points for each sidekick placed by the effect throughout the whole game, or only for each 4 through 6 rolled? The answer is, you only gain the 2 mission points for each triggering effect. For example, if your opponent KOs 3 of your sidekicks with a single attack, you would roll for the effect 3 times. If you roll successfully all 3 times, you would gain 6 mission points. Pretty cool. WizKids, you know, they don't always answer these. If it's a rule that they feel they don't need to, or if it's just like not worded correctly, they'll just ignore it. But that's where you go to post those. Next up, Heroclix errata and clarifications. Now, this tab
What are
has,
those exactly, Simeon?
So an
What
errata,
is that? What is an errata?
An errata is an actual change to how the character is written. So if I have a character that says like traded stealth and sidestep, and they errata that to say traded stealth, but only for obscuring terrain and sidestep, that is an errata. They have effectively changed a figure that has been like made. They've changed it after the fact. That is an errata. You don't get new cards for these. So the reason that erratas are important is if you are playing in a tournament and you're playing a figure that has an errata, like a better example would be, let's see here. A better example would be somebody like this guy here, Spider-Man 1776. He got an errata that says Leadership Super Senses. When Spider-Man 1776 hits, until your next turn, opposing forces have action total -1, minimum 2. Opposing characters within 6 squares can't use leadership or autonomous. So if you're playing a 1776, his card is not actually up to date or correct. The errata is what would be tournament legal. If you're playing house games or just casually, you don't really have to pay attention to these. But if you're ready to enter the tournament setting, you will have to like check on these kind of things, or at least make sure that your judge is aware, especially if one of them is affecting a character on your team. So that's what an errata is. A clarification on the opposite hand of that is less of a change to the character's card and more of just a this is how we meant it to work, and we get that the wording is kind of weird, so here's better wording to show you what it was supposed to do all along, kind of thing. And so clarifications, let's see, here's one for Puppet Master from Future Foundation. His clarification is, the character's dial should have a 1 printed as the damage value on click numbers 1, 2, and 3. So that's a quote-unquote clarification. It's technically an errata because his dial's incorrect, but his card is correct, so that's what they're clarifying, I guess, is whether you go by the card or the dial on that one.
Right.
So clarifications usually just like, hey, we've got this mix-em-up, or hey, we've got this thing that's poorly worded. Errata's actual changes that they like realized, hey, this doesn't work the way that we intended, we have to actually change this thing. Or if something was watch listed and errated afterwards, these are usually considered like the nerf lists when something is quote unquote nerfed, would be an errata. And
Simeon, what does nerf mean? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go into that.
That's basically it. There is a Golden Age errata and clarifications list where you can post those questions and look at those kind of things.
So
yeah, but
it is important to know, because if you get a lot of figures for free, a lot of the times it's just some of that stuff isn't accurate anymore. So if you do end up building your teams, like if you look at them in your hand and you're like, okay, cool, and then you go to a team building website like HC Realms or something, most of the time the wording will be changed on the main trait, and then directly under that figure there will be an errata or clarification directly like under it. So they'll let you know. You're never going to be caught off guard, at least on HC Realms. If you're just looking at your own cards and stuff, the cards may be out of date. There's only one instance I know of when a figure got a updated card, but for the most part, WizKids does not send out new updated cards, nor are you able to print off an updated card because they stopped doing print and play quite some time ago.
Right.
Hopefully this changes sometime in the future, far off future, when you're listening to this, like, oh, those guys are idiots. I can print off every card. They're totally available online. I would love that to be true. But
Now,
yeah, that is where we at for rules and clarifications.
places to go before you go to WizKids and the win system to ask your questions and look up. So this is the place to go to make sure that the erratas and clarifications for your figures are up to date. And luckily, when you click on erratas and clarifications, if you click on the last page, the last page will be the most recent stuff. So that'll help you narrow down what exactly you're looking for. But better places to go before you do this is the Facebook Heroclix rules chat. That's a great place. If I've got just a generic question, I'm like, hey, how does this work? That's where I'm going to go. Now, luckily, there's some smart people in there that sometimes will be like, hey, we don't actually know how WizKids is ruling this yet. Check back when we do, kind of thing. Alternatively, they'll have, a lot of times they'll be like, hey, like the trait is worded like this, it most likely works like this, or just it straight up does work like that. So that's a great place to go online. And then, of course, if you're in a venue, you will always defer to the judge. The same will go for like tournaments. During tournaments, you always defer to the judge. So if the judge makes a bad ruling, you can call them on it. You can like try and look up the rules and correct them. But at the end of the day, in a tournament setting, the judge's ruling is the ruling for that tournament. So kind of in that situation, it just kind of is what it is. Judges can be wrong, but I mean, that's what they do. So usually
They can be, but
right.
it's once again, it's this heat of the moment thing. So
Yeah.
and you're asking them like what they know is any good judge pretty much has like the pack in the rule book and any weird interactions that might happen pretty much memorized. So any like basic question they should be able to answer to you right away. If they once we get whatever all this
That being said,
ironed out and everything.
That being said, we're gonna have a small window where it's gonna be the most like tumultuous ruling time for a little while, where like we have some gaps in the works and stuff. But unless you're listening to this like exactly when it comes out, this probably won't be the case in the future. We'll probably have everything ironed out,
right?
And it'll be back.
If there is some instance where the rule book doesn't mention it, or like in the case of Golden Age rules, you just look back on when it was last ruled, and that's what it is. So if you have a team base or something along those lines and you don't know how to play it because all the team base cards, literally every card in existence for team bases is now wrong, well, just go to the last checked section for all that stuff, for all these rules. They got errated and changed and whatever. So just, especially if you like, oh, I don't know X under the new rules because they don't mention it, then I would just play it how it was played before. So check like which if you ever want to know what the old rules are, super easy. Previous core rules are under at the bottom of this total Heroclix gameplay rules format page. So as of right now, the previous rules are 2017 for right now. So
you mean classic?
But they don't have those. Let's not get into that.
2017.
Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that.
It's technically still
They have sequence cards, they have general rules clarifications, as well as I believe that the closest year is 2019 right now. So that'll actually be where you're going to look. They have a comprehensive rule book for that, which is awesome. They also have Spanish and Chinese translations, which is pretty cool. Also here you can find rules for things like Mage Knight and the Lord of the Rings campaign rules, which I guess are useful. And then right on top of the Heroclix core releases, you can figure out which figures are modern legal right now. So that's also really cool. Weird place to put it, I know. But if they keep updating it, look like this is a broken link and takes it to a board that is a requested topic, does not exist, which is a bummer. But the modern age figures you can always find either on HC Realms or Clix Nexus, or on the Win, they should have a post showing literally every single figure that is modern age. But if you ever don't know what something does, or there is no rule about it, because sometimes they just leave gaps, I guess, you can refer back to old rules, and I would just let those happen.
In the Win system,
I would just use those.
The rules forums, they do also have a tab for tournament resources and modern age legality lists. And if you click on the modern age legality list you'll get the most current legality, what has rotated kind of thing on page 1 of that. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. Like I said, Facebook rules chat, Heroclix rules chat, that is, that's a great place to just completely spam the moderators there with any questions. But to be honest, it's a fairly, I wouldn't say inactive, but it's not like they're overwhelmed with questions. And for the most part, Heroclix players are pretty kind when it comes to answering questions, no matter how simple they seem to a seasoned player. There's a lot of like weird interactions that just seem kind of strange, and the pack and the core rule books don't always cover everything. So those are the basics for those rules. So next, let's go with how to step up your game. So this is for people that have already been playing, you're already enjoying Heroclix, and you just want to know, how to not lose every game. Because I know I lost probably like the first 50 games I ever played in Heroclix. It was just constant losing. And I was like, this is a great character. And I just wasn't using it to its full effectiveness. And then later on, I'd be like, I could have done this, and this. It would have been great if I had known that. Stuff like that. So how to step up your game with super basic step. Knowing your team's weaknesses. So if you're building a team, and this takes a little bit of practice, it takes a little bit of like finesse and like learning just how Heroclix works in general. But if I'm playing a really close combat team and I realize that I can't cross the board fast enough, and my opponent is playing a like heavy range team or something like that, I'm going to need to know like how do I capitalize on a situation where my team is really close combat based and I need to get across the board. Maybe I need to swap out some pieces for a taxi, somebody who can carry me up really far. Maybe I need to invest in some more telekinesis powers in my team, whether that's with objects or with characters that have it on their starting click. If I'm a heavy range-based team, maybe I need to have some more like protection against close combat. So maybe I need like a small variety of figures that can kind of block off the opposing team from getting close to me while I shoot at them, that kind of thing. What do you have for, what's a solid weakness that you've seen in like a team you've ran recently, Calder?
A solid weakness. I would say maybe not necessarily in the team like I built it, but the way I played it is if you're about to stick your like figure on the line, stick your neck out, and really try to go for some damage, you should look at it. How will their next turn change if I take out this figure? Is it going to affect them that much? Like if I really overreach my bounds and I can only manage to take out one figure, right? If everything goes wrong, I miss all the attacks and I only kill one figure. What is their next team? What's their next turn going to look like? What are they going to be able to do? How can they retaliate for what you've done? So really think about, and sometimes you don't have to kill a figure either. You just have to damage lots of other figures. But I know tons and tons of times I have made this same mistake where I overreach with just one of my figures. I like perplex him up, send him out, does a bunch of damage, or maybe he even like misses the attack. And then I'll watch my opponent not even use the figure that I was like gunning for that entire turn, and then like pick apart the dude I just sent out. And I'm like, me KOing one of their figures was not going to change that turn. So you really have to picking and choosing targets and understanding which ones are important to take out and which ones aren't is huge. It's huge. Like, yeah, that's one of, to me, I know that's the biggest problem that I have. I can't stand sitting around in my starting area waiting for my opponent to come to me. I can't do it. So I always want to try to like, and I always end up normally this when I make a bad flaw is like I overreach and then they just pick me apart and it's terrible. So definitely think about all the actions you're going to take. Let's not say they all miss, but it goes 50-50. What's your opponent going to be able to do to you next turn? Just think about that before you overreach or overstep or move up to one place, right? It can be as simple as I move here. Well, shoot, that's within their running shot range. So don't do that. Move behind barrier or move behind, a wall blocking terrain, a different elevation, something, You have to think about like when you're moving up, you have to be careful. And it's just a lot of it is positioning, making sure your opponent doesn't get these easy shots off on you, understanding your opponent's range, their charge, their hypersonic, their running shot, telekinesis, stuff like that.
Yeah. So like, knowing your opponent's range is huge. If they've got 2 perplexes and they've got a running shot, then assume that like both of those perplexes go into either speed or range, and they'll be able to get to like, +2 squares from where their character is printed at going. And feel free to like count those squares out. Be like, well, if you're using this character, like your opponent can't fault you for figuring out what their character's capability is. So definitely do that before you take your turn. And if you're comfortable, like you've got a figure with energy shield or stealth or something, and you're comfortable putting them into a piece of hindering terrain or just forwards, that's fine. Likewise, if your opponent puts like a character forward, like Calder just said, maybe don't overreach, because it's possible that they're like, if you can only reach to one character, it's quite possible there's a reason why they left that character up there for you to get to. They're like, oh, well, your reach is X. I'll put this character right within your reach, but that makes you like overextend to this point, and I'm comfortable with you doing that because after your turn, I'll be able to do this and this and this kind of thing. So yeah, like knowing what your opponent's team is capable of as far as reach is really good, but also knowing what your team's capable of. If I can running shot and then TK my character back, that's extremely helpful. If I can running shot and leave my character in a solid position where I feel like they're fine, if I have a throwaway character that I'm willing to send up and just like let them have those points or whatever, then that's also fine. How I typically play a casual game is I just kind of throw my team up halfway, and I'm like, no matter what you do, I'll be able to get to you next turn, and they'll come and attack my team. Some of my characters will survive, some of them won't, and then we'll just kind of slog it out from there. But at least, like, I'm not sitting there waiting the whole time, because that's just not how I play. But when it comes to like more competitive kind of aspects, you really want to get that first kind of like, not necessarily like first hit, but you definitely want to get that momentum swinging in your direction by turn 3. And a lot of that has to do with how engaged your entire team is, because if you can only engage with one character and you're expending a bunch of actions to engage with just one character, it better be a really solid character that's worth sending across the board like that. And I think that goes into action economy and why action economy matters. So action economy, for a normal 300-point game, you only have 3 actions. Leadership will grant you a 4th action. There's some other random, figures that can give you a +1 action that's outside of leadership, so you can get up to 5. But typically you'll see 3 or 4. And so this is why you don't want to make a team that's just, like 20 nuke clones. Because 20 nuke clones
right.
by themselves, bad action economy. Yes, you have a lot of attackers. No, you will not be able to use like more than half of them at any given time. So there's characters like the Borg Queen from the Star Trek set, who lets you, all adjacent characters for a +1 plot point can do a move action, a close action, or a ranged attack kind of thing. She gives them the ability, she gets to pick one and they get to do that. So she's great for letting characters move out, or if she's in a clumped up group, letting them all attack in one turn, that kind of thing. There's not a lot of options like that, though. Leadership's pretty much your only thing. So when you're building a team, make sure you know, if I'm at 6 or 7 figures on my team, there better be a lot of free actions like sidestep and things like that going on, because otherwise there's just characters that are going to wait a turn or two every turn to do anything. I've no like in sealed. I've built many teams in sealed where certain characters just never end up moving out of my starting area because it's just way more effective for me to keep using the same 4 characters over and over. And I'm like, geez, I don't even know why I built with that character. All they've done this whole game is like sat in my starting area. So yeah, knowing your action economy, assuming if you put a leadership on your team, you'll be able to do 4 actions every turn is a pretty solid bet. Knowing like, hey, I've got a dedicated TK, that's 1 action, I'll have 3 after that. Those kind of things. It's not the most important thing in Heroclix, but it's pretty important when it comes to competitive play to being able to make sure you're using your figures to your full value and also using your team build to its full value. If you're overbuilding, if I'm building with 20 Wendigos, sure, I've got a 300-point team that looks scary, but at most I'm using 3 every turn because there's just not a lot of free actions they can do.
Right.
Yeah, it ends up being more of a waste of points than anything else because, if I can slip a leadership on there, if I can do a lot of other different things, it helps my team out way more than just spamming the same figure over and over. And then the last thing we're going to mention for stepping up your game is knowing modern maps and knowing what map your team that you're building is like best on. So for modern maps, the hcmaps.net, not only do they have the maps on here, they've also got Roll20 assets, which we'll get into next time we talk about new rules and the new clicks on the block. But knowing what kind of modern maps you might see and which ones you want to play on is really good. This will just give you the basics of what the terrain looks like. So if you've got a heavy range team and you're like, I'm going to outrange most of my opponents, you get to pick 3 maps. So pick 1 map that your team is like perfect on. Pick 1 map where if your team doesn't work especially well against your opponent, like maybe you've got a range close team, and so you pick a really closed off map so they can't shoot at you, but then your opponent also has a really like close range team. Maybe you want something a little bit more open so that you have more lines of fire to them. Alternatively, if you think you're going to outrange most people and then your opponent has a map and you're like, oh geez, he's going to outrange me, maybe you have a map on your build list where you've got like closer lines of fire so they can't quite outrange you. They have to like maneuver more. A lot of little like things like that. There's just plenty of maps to choose from. I'm not even gonna like shout any out. There's so many maps. New maps come out with every set. There's tons of like fun thematic looking maps, and then there's some that are like oppressive for one reason or another.
Right.
Another thing is like if you have a lot of flyers, picking a map that's got like heavy elevation, that's pretty big. If you don't have any flyers or anyone that can carry your team, try and pick maps that don't have a whole lot of elevation, because if your opponent keeps moving back and forth between different elevations, it's going to really slow your team down.
Right. I mean, after a while, you should just be able to look at a map and sort of tell, like, WWE Arena, it's clear. It's got obscuring and very small amounts of hindering. Besides that, it's a totally open, basically blank canvas map. You're like, well, my team is super, super range heavy. It's got stealth. Perfect map, right? Yeah. And there's some other maps where it's like tons of walls, tons of whatever. Well, my team is very close based. We cannot fly. I want just a map that maybe just has a bunch of hindering, just a bunch of blocking that's indoors. Or you're like, well, I've got giants on my map, so I would like whatever. You can choose like a map that has a ton of blocking and outdoors. You can see over it. Your opponent can still see you, but like think about stuff like that. The team you're building around. What's the kind of map? What's a bad matchup for it? What's an okay matchup for it? And sometimes, I mean, this is all just about you understanding a played game. But like, sometimes I just play maps that are just like whatever, dude. Like WWE training area, just because it's funny to me for whatever reason, or if I want to play on Otherworld Castle because it's a castle, Yeah. But there are certain maps that after playing for a while, you should be able to tell, okay, this is a good spot here. These are the line of fire, like, oh, if I put a piece of barrier or a piece of blocking here, then this entire room is cut off or something, like check out the map, really look at it. Once you play more, you're going to be able to understand how all these little pieces of terrain, and honestly, the more you play, you'll realize the map is probably the most important thing that you bring. And I know a lot of players that'll show up to events without maps at all, which is crazy. And then I know players, and that's not a slight against you, Kevin. It's just I played against people at Worlds that didn't bring maps, and I'm like, you're at Worlds. Are you serious?
They'll like win the roll off and then be like, I guess I defer to you because I didn't bring a map. Yeah, that happened more than once to me at Worlds, and
definitely always bring a map. In my Heroclix bag, I always have at least like 2 or so maps just in my bag. They just stay there, So I'm not hauling anything crazy around, just like 2 good maps. Yeah. That's probably the best advice I could give you. Choose 2 solid maps. And by 2, I mean one that's got double-sided, one that's also double-sided. So
and if you're trying to break into like the more competitive play, it helps to like work outside of your wheelhouse. So if I'm practicing a team that I think is going to be good at like a WKO or a States or Nationals or something, I'm going to play it on every map that I've seen people play. I might not play it on like a few modern maps that I'm just like, not a lot of people play this map. But I'm going to play it on like the really closed off maps and the really open maps. And I'm going to test like, on this specific map, like what's my turn 1? What am I doing? Because like I don't like this map kind of thing, and that helps a lot. That's really probably the best way to get like really into the competitive, in my opinion.
I will concur. So stepping up your game, a lot of it is, like I said, after you know how to play, understanding positioning in relative to the map, and all that stuff. I mean, it's tough when we say like this is going to step up your game, but also you just sort of have to play for a while for these things to even make sense to you in the beginning. You're like, why does everybody keep shooting me? It's because you keep putting it on an open map or something, or you keep overstepping your reach. It's very simple stuff like this. I also, if you're more worried about team building, on our YouTube channel, I have one team building video. I believe it's the second one in it that, well, both of them have this little chart, but I go over things that I like to put on my team where it's, whenever I build for events, I need to understand what I'm building for. So is it Golden Age, Modern Age, Silver Age? What figures can I use? Are there any banned figures? Is it a thing like Pauper or Silver Age where figures are banned because they're either too high rarity or whatever, right? So first you need to understand what figures can I use for building a team and etc. And I sort of go into my mindset between building teams and what I think is a good base for team building. We might, I don't know, make a new Clix on the Block about just team building. Although I believe we had that last time. I don't know. But if you guys do want to watch that, that is on our YouTube channel for you to listen to / watch.
Yeah. We can do some deeper dives into different aspects and different types of team building. We kind of glossed over the basics last time. But, this is just kind of like still like in like the casual approach. I'm not going to say this is going to make you a top tier competitor, but this is like what you need to look for and the things that you need to be prepared for and keep in mind if you are competing and if you are just a new player in general, I guess, because it doesn't hurt to like count like range and line of fire as a new player. It doesn't hurt to know modern maps as a new player. None of this is bad for casual play, but it is necessary for competitive play.
That would be correct, yeah. The news! All right, so this has been a really slow news week, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? That is A-okay with me. So, personal news, the JSA AFSP tournament, I believe is right, concluded this week. The winner was none other than superfan Lucas Tom Van Holland. And a thing that we didn't mention, what made us happy, but did make me and Simeon both very happy because it was awesome and hilarious, was the Scott Porter cameo that Dial H donated as prizing to the event. Simeon, you want to go into that a little bit, but basically Scott Porter went above and beyond, making sure Lucas got a great cameo. And it was, you can check it out on our Facebook and our Twitter. We'll have links to the cameo video. But as we all know, Scott Porter is the charismatic enigma that does the Heroclix unboxings on the WizKids YouTube channel. But Simeon, you want to go through the process and kind of, tell us a little bit about it, because it was really cool. We don't have to spend too much time on it because they can watch it for themselves for sure, but it was really sweet.
So the JSA Clix, the charity event already had a ton of physical prizing donated. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I could donate like something, like looking at my figures and different stuff. And I was like, you know what, let's donate something that's not tangible. So I was like, let's do a cameo from Scott Porter shouting out the winner. And, that's what we rolled with. So we added that to the prize pool. Lucas won. Sadly, he won. Of all the people. Man,
I'm gonna be honest with you. When it kind of came down to like the top 16 or whatever, I was like, you know what? It'd be really cool if Lucas won. He's a pretty all right guy. I know we talk a lot, but like we would never rag on somebody who we didn't like on this show. So whenever you think we're making fun of somebody, we would just not mention them at all. So absolutely. We like Lucas. He's a fun guy. And it's funny to react his Heroclix post. It's an endless joy to me.
Yes, that's true.
Whole nother thing. Sorry,
he's live.
Go for it. Especially.
So that was the deal we made. We said, so of course the JSA AFSP, that's the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention charity event, was hosted by Jay Solomon, Canadian, hosting an American foundation. That's fine. It's really cool of Jay, actually. The charity event, actually, it doubled the goal. So that was really cool on top of everything else. Lucas went, I don't remember what his exact record is, but he went undefeated throughout the tournament, which was pretty awesome. I donated some charity props to him along the way because I did want to see Lucas on top. If anybody was going to be there, I wanted it to be him. And then, at the end of everything, once we finally had a winner, I sent the cameo in. It's 250 characters limit, so I was like, man, I just can't fit everything that I want to fit in there, and that kind of sucks. But I sent it in anyhow, and Scott Porter reached out to the podcast and asked us, hey, give me some more details. What was his build? What's going on? Like, different stuff like that. And he was just all around a really cool dude. He, Scott Porter being from Nebraska, grew up in Millard, which is technically like West Omaha. If you're Chance McCall, then you believe city limits end where tiny tributaries and villages begin. But Omaha is actually a much larger city than what the map says. So Millard is technically, in my opinion, part of Omaha. But Scott reached out, being a fellow Omaha person. He went above and beyond with what he did in the cameo. He just didn't have to reach out to us. He chose to. He did a lot of like background information, figured out like kind of who Lucas was as a person, some different stuff that like made his team special, just really made it feel like it was a personalized message. That's what Cameo says it is, but like half the time you'll get things, not to blow up whatever random celebrity I choose, like Brett Favre. He'll be like, hey, this is Brett Favre here. Hey, John, happy birthday. Brett Favre, quarterback, Packers. Jeez. Like it's boring. It's lame. Like some of them, they give you like nothing. And like Scott, like, shoot, even if I was doing someone a shout, I don't know if I would have even went that far. Like he just did like research into it. He made it funny. It was great. It was really cool. And like, I wonder how many takes he did. It might be a one take wonder, but it almost felt like he wrote himself like a full script and was like, all right, we've got everything perfectly memorized. Like, I mean, the guy's an actor, so obviously he's going to be good at this. Like speaking to a camera and everything is easier for some people than it is. And like, it just blew my mind. It was awesome. It was really cool. And like, he threw some inside jokes into there.
Yeah, it was great. And he totally didn't have to mention me or you at all in it.
Yeah,
and he didn't. Like,
I was
that
actually
nice
surprised that he,
I was
he actually
like, oh, cool.
figured out what our names were and threw those in there.
He pronounced mine correctly, and I was like,
as well.
what?
Yeah. I'm surprised.
Insane,
I
right?
normally get the Simon.
And
I'm always the Simon, but Scott Porter, he knew it was Simeon, so good on him for knowing how letters change
blew my
words.
Mind. No, but like we don't say that. Like you almost make it sound to me like it's actually me and you have lived our lives getting our names pronounced wrong every other day, every week or every month for sure. And it's like. It was cool. I like it. I dug it. And everybody, some dude who's like listening to this, whose name like Steve is like, what are you guys on about? And I'm like, bro, you don't know. You don't know the struggle.
Growing up as somebody like who was in tournaments where they'd have to announce your name to like go to different places in the tournament, the fact that he read my name and was able to pronounce it correctly without me like telling him phonetically, because afterwards I was like, oh, I didn't even tell him. But like this was after watching the video and he pronounced it correctly. I was like, wow, like he just straight up knew how to say it. It's actually, I mean,
pretty sweet. It's cool.
I'm batting like 1 out of 10 on people correctly pronouncing my name,
especially WizKids
throughout life.
People.
So
anyone related to WizKids, like
it was pretty impressive. But then on top of everything, on top of him just doing a really amazing shout out for Lucas and just being like an all-around like cool dude, like reaching out to us to get more information and everything,
right,
he also donated the cameo fee that he was paid for this whole thing. He donated that to the AFSP donation drive that it was still live at the time. I think it is still live at this point,
right?
Yes,
if you want to donate, it's still there. If you're like, oh cool, I didn't have a chance.
The link is still up. Yeah. And so it was just really cool. Like, not only did he go out of his way, do all this extra work, and made the win that Lucas got seem like even more cool than it already was. He also just, donated the money that we paid him to do that back to the charity. So that was pretty awesome. I mean,
he did it for free. Like he not only went above and beyond, but he did all of that for free. He didn't keep any of it. Like that's just really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. So the link is still up on our Facebook and our Twitter. Both links, both to the video of Scott Porter doing the cameo for Lucas and the donation link are both still up. So if you're interested in either of those, Facebook, Twitter, both of those up there.
Fantastic. So that was our bit of personal news. For some real news that is also still related to Scott Porter here, we have a little bit of a clarification, and I will say this is a clarification, on the Silver Age tournament that is going to be happening for the Scott Porter Invitational. So I sort of, feel a little bad when I got to watch this when I'm supposed to be quote unquote working, but I threw it in my pocket, put my headphones in, and kind of listened to this live stream for most of the stream. I won't say I was super active on all of it, but Scott mentioned that during his Silver Age events, that'll be the Saturday events on the 15th of May for the Huntingtons. And we talked about this last episode, but I'll still throw a link in there. But he added a little thing to the Silver Age tournament where he said that you have to have at least 2 figures on your team that are related. So he really wants to stress theme. He wants it to be about family, which is really cool. And now I hope that changes how people will, I don't know how to say it, but will change their team building, like the way they do it. So now it's like, I can make a really cool comic accurate team. Now, this is a little tough when you're trying to think like, whoa, who's related? But yeah, so he also said, he mentioned that if you play a Batman family, Spider-Man family, family's in the name, but it's not quite what they're going for, but they'll be like, yeah, it's cool, I'll allow it. So there's like, I don't know if it's quite fellowship prizing, but it is still, you still want to build a good team because it is still a tournament. But now you need to figure out how to put 2 people that are related on the team. And me and Simeon were like, at first I was like, oh man, who the heck is even related in Heroclix? But then you're like, once you think of it, you're like, there's siblings in Heroclix. There are fathers and sons, mothers, daughters, etc. Switch those either way you want to. There's entire families. So I'm going to ask you, everybody, to not play Fantastic Four. That is so lame and unoriginal. Now, if you don't care about being lame and unoriginal, please play the Fantastic Four. If you really don't care about being lame,
Four
like
was the
super
first thing
lame
I thought about when I thought
and unoriginal.
Heroclix family. That's the easiest that comes to mind.
It is the easiest to come. That it would just be the easiest for sure.
But yeah,
I think if you get past that barrier and say like, oh, I can just make a really good Fantastic Four team, like, stop and think for a second, and don't do that. And then like once you get that out of your brain, you can see so much cool stuff. So like just like the first two figures I thought of was like Peggy Carter and Sharon Carter, aunt and niece. Hawkeye and Trickshot, they're brothers. This is all modern age stuff still. I don't know how Thor and Loki would go. They're not technically related, but I mean they're brothers. So Thor and Odin, for sure, you can 100% make a team on, as well as
technically Hela,
stuff like that.
Also
Hela,
related.
If you use like the movie version, for sure. I don't know anything about the comic version, but like for sure the movie version's related to Thor and Odin and all that jazz.
I'm not sure how the comics still stand, but the assassin lady, what was her name?
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
The assassin Angela.
Wow.
Angela,
Oh,
also
Angela, yeah.
an Odin daughter.
Odin daughter, yeah.
Yeah, she's also in the family tree there. There's a ton of, like an absolute ton of different stuff. You can do, one I was considering was Gwen Stacy and her dad, Captain Stacy, who we only have one of in silver, but that's an option. There's a lot of like just random kind of like one-off character combos, but that's fine, it's fine.
Right. So it's just something to think about. It's a fun way to team build. So I don't know if it's like, you put two people that are related on a team and be like, okay, we have them out of the way. And then you build a team that's just good with a keyword they share or something. And then it's like, well, these people were never all in one room together, so that's not going to quite fit our thematic event. I don't know how strict they're going to be on the theming of it all. And I can't remember. Let me actually double check to see if it had to be a theme team. It does not have to be a theme team. So sadly, all it says is that it's 300 points Silver Age, figure ownership not required. It doesn't mention that on the document yet, but this is something that Scott said during the live stream. So I believe they said they're going to have an updated document soon. Right now, we have no idea. But since Scott messaged it, and it's pretty much Scott being the big organizer, or so at least the head idea man for this tournament, it's pretty safe to assume you should start looking at people that are related to each other. And if you're unsure, you can look up like families in comics, or Google like brothers and sisters in siblings, whatever, right? You can look all that stuff up. And I think it's cool because it kind of gives people that really have, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, you filthy casuals that only play this game because you're good at it or something and don't read comic books. I'm a comic book reading extraordinaire who's read comic books since before you were born, kiddo. Looking at you, Isaac Berkovitz. Yeah, I'm super old and I read comic books and I know how everybody's related to each other. I'm like, okay, yeah, calm down, buddy, calm down. Like, that is cool. It sort of does like, hey, if you know more about comics, you can probably find more pairings and stuff. Like, I don't know who Kite Man's related to. Probably nobody else that's made in Heroclix. I'd supremely doubt it, but hey, you never know. Like, or are Bud and Lou? I'm sorry, I just pulled up Harley Quinn and the Gotham Girls. Like, are they related? Are they the same pack?
Mary Batson and Billy Batson,
whatever. Right, stuff like that. The Shazam family.
There's Damian Wayne and Goliath from Rebirth. He's related to
them on Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
he's related to Bruce Wayne and all Batmans that have that name. There's Superboy and Superman. Like, there's a ton of little stuff in there. You can even, if you're so casual that you're willing to play Star Trek, you can even play Wesley Crusher with his mom. Ooh. So there's that, for those Star Trek people that really want that Wesley Crusher and
Wesley's actually not bad.
Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Yeah, but once again, if you're playing with Star Trek,
okay.
probably play a scientist theme with anything else. Or the Ninja Turtles, because it's Silver Age. You can just play all the Ninja Turtles together. I'm sure they would love you for doing that. They'd be like, whoa, you're playing Ninja Turtles with Casey Jones, Splinter, and April O'Neil? That's an awesome team. Like, that is just actually an awesome team. So, like, there's really, once you start thinking about it, there's not that it's not as narrow as you think. You can't play Unimind. Sorry. Maybe you can, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if the Eternals are actually related or anything.
I might just play a
if they are,
theme team and be like, well, technically they all share a hive mind, so it's like one big happy family.
I think if you have to go technically, Scott's going to be like, but no. So,
but technically,
I feel like I don't know about technicallys.
But technically,
but no though. But anyways. That is some slight news that was announced through it. The rest of it, kind of had some cool, some stuff here and there about like what Scott would choose for a figure he would want made, and he like mentioned some Invincible comics or some like other comic series that I only read Marvel or DC, so I don't care about any other random comic company. But yeah, he mentioned cool stuff like that. It was a pretty cool live stream. It was definitely better than other past WizKids Heroclix related live streams because we actually got to learn things. It was very cool. Very, very cool. Don't know who I could be talking about. But yeah, that's it, guys. It's sweet. I dig it a lot. So that is it. Anything you want to mention about anything else before we end the news?
Invincible's gotten really popular since they made an animated show on like Amazon. And I just want to say Invincible's been a comic for like over 10 years now. Probably over like longer than that, but I read and finished that like years ago, and now people are like, this would be such a great HeroClix set, and I'm like, yeah, it kind of was at one point. Also, the comics, like, there's way more interesting stuff that happens in the comics than I haven't seen the show, but I assume the show at most goes into like the first comic arc. So there's not even like the secondary invasion, the younger brother, although like the really crazy stuff that like happens, probably not even in the series yet. But I'm glad that you have that cool thing that you just found. And that's like truly, I'm not even saying that sarcastically. If you're just now getting into Image comics because of that, that's cool, because that's a great place to start. But I was still there first, and Hipster Simeon says he's better than you because he saw it first.
Hipster Simeon sounds about right. Sounds about right.
Before it was cool. Yeah.
Okay, well, fantastic. This will bring to segment of the show where we'll jump into community and answer us a Malcolm Rush question block.
That's in Japan!
Japan? No. I can't go to Japan.
All right. Well, Malcolm's got some questions about colors. If you're colorblind, I'm sorry, but now we're going to talk about colors. He just says they're silly, so we can probably keep this pretty quick. We're not going to get too serious, but what's your favorite color, Simeon?
So, yeah, this isn't actually true, but I'm just going to say black or gray. And since HeroClix doesn't technically have a gray, it's a silver, I have to go with black for these questions.
Right. Okay, gotcha. Mine is blue, and I'm going to go with a darker blue since I like a darker blue color. I don't know what that means, but okay. Which is your favorite and least favorite power that is that color, Simeon? So black.
Favorite for black, so my options are stealth, steal energy, regeneration, and outwit. My favorite out of those four has to be outwit. And then least favorite, just out of process of elimination, has to be stealth. If I'm getting one of those powers on my dial, I prefer it to be those other three before stealth.
Okay, gotcha. My favorite dark blue power is going to be Shape Change. Just so you know, what we're picking is Shape Change, Mastermind, Penetrating Psychic Blast, or Plasticity. So my favorite, Shape Change. My least favorite is going to be Plasticity. Probably tied with Mastermind, honestly. Just, not powers I use a lot. Number 3 is, which HeroClix characters is your favorite and least favorite that has your favorite color somewhere on their dial?
Yeah. So favorite HeroClix character, just character in general, is, of course, Wolverine. And he definitely has regeneration. Multiple figures have that. That's not usually steal energy, sometimes stealth, but always regen or some form of healing. And then vampires would be a close second favorite with Steel Energy. Not always printed on their dial, but at least traded usually. I just love my vampire dials. I really, especially Dracula from Fear Itself, but most vampires are cool.
All right. Both these figures are going to have my favorite power, which is shape change on it. My favorite figure that has shape change on the dial is Super Scroll, to nobody's surprise, I'm sure, but he's just awesome. I really like him. My least favorite is going to be any and all Kamala Khans that have shape change or plasticity. I just hate her, I tell you what. All right, fantastic. Moving right along. Yikes. Could you embiggen yourself out of this video game, please and thank you. You are awful. Which Hero's character is your favorite and least favorite that has a sculpt with your favorite color on it? So for you, it would be people that have black predominantly on their sculpt.
Yeah, so I went with a character that was sculpted completely in all black. It's not Etrigan from World's Finest. No, it's his resculpt that they just shamelessly painted completely black, and that's Generic Demon. I don't dislike this guy because of his dial. His dial is fine, I guess, but it's 3 clicks. It's pretty boring, and also his sculpt is just Etrigan completely painted different shades of black. It's one of the worst generics that I own a lot of.
Ooh. I actually kind of want a bunch of demon generics because I want to eventually make like a custom Doomslayer and just like slaughter them all. I think it'd be really funny.
They're fine.
But anyways,
they're just super boring.
I like those World's Finest generics. When you mentioned it, I thought you were going to say like Mr. Nobody or something because he's predominantly black. But what's your favorite?
Or least favorite. So that was my or least favorite.
Okay.
My favorite would be the X-Force. So like they're typically black and gray. Either Wolverine and X-23 duo base, or really just like any of the X-Force. I really like those comics. They're like the X-Men, but they have to get certain things done that aren't super nice and, child friendly. But, that's like their whole thing. So, yeah.
All right. My favorite sculpt that has blue predominantly on it is going to be the Hammer of Thor Captain America. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. I mean, with the little effect on his feet to just how just good the sculpt looks. It's still one of the best sculpts to this day, Hammer Thor Captain America. Worst sculpt of all time goes to any Superman. More specifically, I'll say all of the Supermen in DC 75th, except one of them is technically white, like just a white lantern, so they don't have any blue on there. But there's the common Superman, or uncommon, I don't remember. But he is the one with his shoulders kind of pushed inward. I call him low T Superman, low testosterone, means he's kind of not manly. So that's why he's looking all sad and simple like. And then the other one is this one where it's this hyper patriotic one, which is like blech, make me throw up in my mouth because like he's literally not from America, but okay, whatever. Who is trash, and I'm glad that he's trash because he's 120 points of pure trash. But that is a figure that I absolutely hate that has blue on it. Number 5, we're gonna build 2 Heroclix teams. One team must have your favorite color on their dial. The other has to have your favorite color on their sculpt. Simeon, why don't you do your color team? I'll do my color team. Then you do your color sculpts. I'll do my color sculpts. Sound good?
Yeah. So color team, starting off strong. I went with 2 theme teams for both of these. So this is a past theme team. I went with Professor Moriarty, even though he's not really, he was written in the past, but he's still a fictional character. So if he of course has outwit his entire dial. He also starts with stealth and then ends with steel energy. So lots of black powers to choose from there. And then Devil Dino, who has regen on his last click. So totally not reaching for that one.
You got it, bro.
Then so that's 150. I threw on Al Jordan, the Green Lantern, who is also like a, what is it? 1,001 Nights. So he's like the Knights, what is that? Lawrence of Arabia or something. But he's got the Genie of the Lamp power, so he can choose standard powers. He also does have regen on his last click. And then, just so I didn't completely double down on all of these was Diablo, who starts with stealth and outwit, gets steel energy mid-dial, and then ends on stealth and outwit. So lots of black powers on his dial.
Okay, very solid, very solid. My colored team, I went with specifically colors in the dial is I went with 2 Rebirth Lex Luthors at 100 points. They're also predominantly blue as well, but they start with Running Shot, Penetrating Psychic Blast. Their 200-point line wouldn't start with any blue powers, but these bad boys, chef's kiss. I really like them. They've got all sorts of cool powers that make them not take a whole lot of damage. So I really like these Rebirth Lexes.
Superman armor that makes them blue. Is that right?
It's Lex Luthor's armor that he designed after Superman died, where he became a real hope for the city because he's actually a person who built himself up from nothing and actually deserves respect. You know, didn't just get gifted powers because he's alien boy on a different planet and not have to work.
Is that a?
You know, it doesn't matter. Let's shut up. It's an S. It's an S. There's no hope. It is an S. It does not wind like a river. Okay, Joss Whedon. It is an S. Stands for freaking Superman. Stands for Superman. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's just get past it. Let's just get over it. All right. Let's get over it. Next, we have the Wonder Woman 80th anniversary Lex Luthor, the Red Sun Lex Luthor. You're like, whoa, Red Sun. I'm like, yeah, he's got Mastermind top dial, so he's here. Then we have Dr. Emil Hamilton, who also has Mastermind, I think, through his whole dial. He's on here because when the character would be dealt penetrating damage within 4 squares or whatever of him, you roll a d6. On a 4 through 6, they can reduce it. So that really helps the Lexes with their impervious and stuff. It's really cool. And then we have the Fast Forces Mercy Graves from the Batman vs. Superman movie. Now, she does not technically have any blue on her dial, but she gives people shape change, which to me is good enough because she gives out a power that is blue. So that's pretty cool. She can choose a high point character that's politician, give him shape change, Lex Luthor's bodyguard. Nice 300 point +5 Metropolis theme team. Pretty cool.
Very good. All right.
And now your team where they're colored.
Characters with predominantly that color on their sculpt, or that color on their sculpt, I guess. First off, right out the bat, is Stone Cold Steve Austin. No, he might not be predominantly colored with black, but that's all he wears. He's got black boots, black knee pads, a black vest, a black mankini, and black wristbands. I don't know what else to call it. Also, he's got
pads, knee braces, my man. Knee braces
from both destroyed knees. So this is the starter set Stone Cold, who of course can crack open a 6-pack of stunners and stomp a mud hole and walk it dry later in his dial. And then next up, I went with the Lord Doom, who is like purpley black, but he's got a lot of black on his sculpt. Sadly, not as much as I wanted him to, but you know, he's not quite Darth Vader, but he's pretty much Darth Vader, who is all black, if you remember quick, other than like the little boops and buttons on his chest. So yeah, he's a pretty good addition. So I've got 2 solid close combat pieces. What goes great with close combat, you say? Batman animated series super rare Zatanna, who of course has not only a black top hat, but a black vest thing to go along with it. She creates bats. They're brown bats, but they're bats.
Yeah.
Bat
Nothing goes better than close combat and enhancement, I tell you what.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perplex, probability control, penetrating psychic blast, and then she generates bats that have enhancement, which will go great with those previous 2 close combat pieces. But no, she's just a solid all-around piece. And then, last but not least, I need some leadership to have 4 characters on this team. So I threw on the Captain America and the Avengers number 030 Wasp, who is black and gold with wings. Yeah. She's pretty solid. She's sidestep, pen psi, 5 range, 2 lightning bolts, 3 damage with leadership. So like those little bats can boost her to 5. Zatanna can boost her attack or have her reroll or whatever. And then, of course, she's got the opposing characters within 5 squares can't use improved targeting abilities, which doesn't really do a whole lot for my team, but it doesn't do nothing for my team either. So
Sure.
there's that.
All right. Well, for my all-blue team, this is actually sort of a team I've played before, but I'm going to go with the Infinity Gauntlet Captain America from Avengers Black Panther. Ooh, and the Illuminati. Wow. Actually not paying for the gauntlets. I feel like it's not as important anymore since there is no pushing. So I'm like, okay, cool. You can be outwitted. Sure. Doesn't matter. You're only dealing me 1 damage anyways. So not too upset.
You're gonna
Get rid of the
my
defense.
sidestep? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Is that what you're gonna do? Stupid idiot. So yeah, I don't feel too bad about getting rid of the gauntlet nowadays. Then we're gonna throw on the AI Iron Patriot, mostly blue, red, and white armor, but mostly blue. And this is like what's her face, Tony Ho or something like that. I'm not saying that as a joke. I think it's actually Tony Ho or like Han or something. Anyways, and then 2 blue AIM blue agents that's pretty easy, like a pretty easy cop out. But that is a 300-point team. It's pretty cool. It's fun. Got prob, got enhancements if they ever take a little damage. And I think most of these characters also have blue. I don't think actually Captain America doesn't have blue on his dial, but I know the Iron Patriot is Incapacitate, and the AIM Blues have Prob, and they have Mastermind, which is really cool. So, and leadership on this team. So it's great. I like it a lot. But that is my all-blue person team. Simeon, the last question is going to be, which team would you use in a game, and why?
I forgot to mention the last team that I listed off was a celebrity-themed team.
Sorry.
I'd use both of these in a team. So I've played all of these figures at one point or another. The past theme team is probably the one that I'd lean more towards because I really like Al Jordan, Devil Dino, Professor Moriarty, Diablo. I've only played twice. I've played Stone Cold and Lord Doom, both I think twice. Zatanna I've probably played half a dozen times, and Wasp I only played during sealed events, but she like really pulled her weight during those, and I think she gets a little bit better under the new rules, mostly just because people aren't like one-shotting her like 9 times out of 10. It's harder to boost your damage now, so she sticks around a little bit later, and she's got willpower later on in her dial. So yeah, she's pretty solid now. Zatanna not pushing off of her top click, pretty solid. Lord Doom, of course, just that's a chase from the one of the newest sets, so of course he's decent. And then Stone Cold, he's not really great, but with Zatanna's TK and ability to perplex and prob.
As soon as we hear Stone Cold's not, we just hear and then just like someone busts into Simeon's house, he gives you a stunner.
Yeah.
Runs away. Throws a beer at your head.
That's one of the figures that I just really thought was going to be like amazing, and the few times you really get his signature to pull off, it's awesome, but it's hard to do. It's a lot harder to set up than you'd like. That being said, it's a really fun team, and so is the past theme team. The past theme team is probably a little bit more competitive than the celebrity one, but I think they'd both be fun to run, and neither's like overly good, clearly.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, so that is, those are teams. I guess for the team I would play, probably the double Lex Luthor Metropolis team. It looks like fun. I would dig it. I'd dig it a lot. The Gauntlet Cap team with Iron Patriot and the AIM Blues, I played a version of that, like 500 points, so I had like the same amount of blues, reds, and whites somehow on the team. I can't remember exactly how I did the math, but I played that team before. That was fun, but I would probably play this Lex Luthor, double Lex Luthor team. I just got to get my hands on another Rebirth Lex. You know where I can do that? I can get that at coolstuffing.com. But anyways, to end off the show, we're going to go ahead and do a quick Jedi Legend Heroclix tip of the week.
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Hero's tip of the week, as Wonder Woman set in 2021, as of now, you can step up to the character in stealth and use your outwit on them. Pretty cool. So now if you can punch them, you can also see them. It's about time. How interesting. It took us this long to get here. It only took us almost 20 years. And this question that has plagued Heroclix since the beginning bothered people for quite a long time, actually.
Yeah. What's weird is until we get the comprehensive rulebook, this being the 25th of April as recording, until we get the comprehensive, which we still haven't gotten yet, not sure if you'll be able to draw a line of fire for, like, you can at least outwit adjacency. So if there's, like, still pinch points where there's 2 characters adjacent to you and then 1 character on the diagonal between those characters, we'll assume that at this point you can't outwit, because that's how the old rules would be. But who knows? I guess you might still be able to draw a line of fire, or it might just be the way that it works. Who knows?
Truly, the world may never know. And while we're sort of talking about this, I must say that this is the one change to rules that does not make Skrulls better. Outwit to the Skrulls is their natural enemy, and having stealth was a big way just to help them not get outwitted. So I am a little bummed about this change, I will say.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the show. That's it, ladies and gents.
Yeah, characters that relied on stealth, not quite as good as they used to be, but still not bad. Not bad. And with that, Dial H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. Coming up this next Wednesday, if you're listening to this on time as it drops, they'll have Wonder Woman singles on release. Isn't that fun? We'll be able to see what they price them at, and oh, how we'll enjoy buying singles. And if you want a discount code, that's Dial 5 for 5% off, although hopefully your single discount is already higher than that if you've bought literally anything. I think it's just anything that gets you the discount of 5%.
$50 or something, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Yeah.
It stacks. I mean, not the discount code, but your singles purchases stack. So pick up some singles of Wonder Woman, whatever few pieces you want. Heck, you can even pre-order some still if you're listening to this before it drops for some reason. You can get that delivered to you roughly a few days after it releases, and that's great too. So check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
They do have a sale going on right now, which doesn't matter for you, listener, because the sale will be over by the time you hear. But it's the Heroes and Villains sale. And they so perfectly have Superman and Lex Luthor. Although I don't know why Lex Luthor is next to the Jesse and James Pokemon card. Oh, except yes, I do. They were good, hard-working, I almost called them Americans, but they're probably almost certainly Japanese. But they're just good, hard-working people trying to catch a buck, going against those rascally little kids that literally assault them physically every time. So good to know that they know that Lex Luthor is truly the hero in this situation, and Superman is the real villain who is keeping the human race from reaching its true potential. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, like always, we like to say, happy trails.
So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional...
Heroclix?
No.
Are you serious? Again? How many people even play this game? Like 100? Instant deadpan humor.
Over 6 people think I am funny.
It's a hard day's work. Not that you know anything about that. Which...
Absolute fools, it's not
Witcher nonsense. I'm gonna make Heroclix like that forever.
Are you kidding me?
Hey Google, attack symbol.
Let's attack Simeon because he's a jerk.
Wow, wow, wow.